Okay, I am live, you guys. So, So here we go. Algebra 2 radical review. So, number 1, 5 square root of 27 x to the 8th y to the 11th. 27 can be 9 times 3. X to the 8th, I just took half of the exponent, but y to the 11th, I can't take half. So I make it y10y, then I can take half the exponent and make it x to the 5. So then I put the 5 and the 3 together, make 15. So I get a 15x4, y5, square root of 3y, okay? Number 2 is a cube root. It's cube root. So I'm like, okay, I know 27 is a perfect cube root, 27 times 2. I want to take a third of the exponent, but I can't take a third of 7. So make it y6 and y, and I can take a third of that. So I get my 3. I take a third of that exponent. I take a third of that exponent. I'm left with a cube root of 2y. Okay? 3, I multiply 15, square root of 72. I can break 72 into the square root of 36 times square root of 2. Square root of 36 is 6. 6 times 15 is 90 square root of 2. Number 4, I got a FOIL. So 4 square root of 5 times 3 square root of 5 is a 20 square root of 25 times 4 square root of 5 to minus 1 is a minus 4 square root of 5. Then I got to go 2 times 3 square root of 5 is a 6 square root of 5. And then I got to go 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Now I put together the stuff that goes together. These two go together. Makes a 2 square root of 5. Square root of 25 is 5. 12 times 5 is 60, but the 60 minus 2 makes a 58. Don't add those because they're different. Okay, 5 is really easy. It's just square root of 100, which is 10. The square root of 9 is 3. That's it. Now, 6 is a little bit harder, but what I did first is I divided. Since they're all square root, so 80 over 4 is 20. 2 of these x's cancel 2 of those x's. x7, 1y cancels with 1y makes y6. Then I break it up. 20 is square root of 4 times square root of 5. Can't take half of 7, so I make it x6x. And then I take half of the x to the 6, and I get x to 3. So then, square root of 4 is 2. I took half of that, x3, half of that, y3, and what's left over is the 5x. Amazing. Now that came all the way down to that answer, okay? All right, on the next page for me, square root of 7 or square root of 2, you can't have a square at the bottom. That's the rule. So I multiply by the square root of 2 over square root of 2, so I can make the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2, so I get the square root of 14 over 2. Okay, that's a fourth root, and I look at my special notes, and I know that 32, a perfect fourth root is 16 and 2. I'm going to take a fourth of 7. I can't take a fourth of 7, so I make it into an x4, x3. I can take a fourth of the 16. So here I have the fourth root of 16 is 2. I can take a fourth of x to the fourth, x1. I can take a fourth of y to the 16 is y4. What's left over is the fourth root of 2 and the fourth root of x cubed, okay? Again, you can pause the video anytime you want if it's going too fast for you, okay? 9, I can't add any of them until I break them down. I can break down the 8 into 4 and 2, which eventually gives me 10 square root of 2. I can't do anything with 32, but I can break it down into 16 and 2, which makes a 16 square root of 2. Can't do anything with the 18 until I break it down into 9 and 2, which becomes a 9 square root of 2. Then I can add them. 10 square root of 2 plus 16 square root of 2 minus 9 square root of 2 gives me a 17 square root of 2, okay? 10, I just have to solve, so I subtract 15. Oh, wait a minute, it's a negative. Something's wrong with that. It can't be a negative. You can't have it equal to a negative, so there's no solution on that one at all. 11, it's a cube root, so I cube both sides. A negative 4 cubed. Now you can't have a negative for a cube root. Makes a negative 64. Add 4, divide by 2, I get negative 30. You can have a cube root equal to a negative. That's okay. Okay, number 12, I just squared both sides, but I'm careful of the 2. I square both sides, but don't forget to square the 2. I get a 4. Then I distribute 12x minus 4. I'm going to solve something. Minus 12x minus 12x. No, minus 2x minus 2x gives me 10. Plus 4 gives me a 6. Divide by 10, and I get 6/10 or 0.6. 13, same thing. I got to square both sides, but I got to be careful. If I square the 4, I get a 16. X plus 1 quantity squared. Same thing as x plus 1 times x plus 1, but I FOIL that. So I get an x squared plus 1x plus 1x plus 1, which makes a x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then I start to solve it, okay? So I know I'm going to have to factor, so I go minus 16 minus 16, x minus 16, so I wind up with 0 equals x squared minus 14x minus 15. Now that will factor. Negative 15, positive 1. My solution then is 15 and negative 1. Now you think negative wouldn't work, but you can check it. And negative 1 actually can work, because if you plug negative 1 in, you get 0. Plug negative 1 in, you get 0. So that can work. 14, I take the squared graph and I translate it. I'm going to make it upside down. I'm going to put it over to 4 and up 5, and then it's going to be upside down, or reflection, because of the negative. Domain is greater than or equal to 4. Range is less than or equal to 5. Okay. 15. First, I graph the parabola 4, negative 3, and it's this parabola, but I can't have this back half, so I change the domain. So my domain change is that x has to be greater than or equal to 4. Then, one way to get these points is just take all of the following points and just reverse them. So I've got a point here at 4, 3, becomes a 3, 4, and I reverse all these points, okay? And then I graph in the inverse. Now, what's the inverse equation? Well, I switch to x and y. So instead of y equals x minus 4 20 squared minus 3, switch the variables because I want to do the inverse. And then I solve. Plus 3, square root to solve it, and add 4, and there's the inverse equation. Okay, almost done. On the last page, I'm told that the length of the pendulum is 0.5, so I plug that in, and I just have to use a calculator to get the answer. That's all I got, and so the quiz is tomorrow. We'll work on this. Hopefully you guys are going to do great.